All right. Well, look, we might kick off. So thank you, everyone, for joining us today. I'd like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the lands on which each of us are joining today's conversation and pay my respects to their elders, past, present and emerging. Film Victoria is really, really excited that we're able to offer this fantastic Screen Development Internships 2.0 to 2 more diverse Victorian creators. With our partners this year, ABC, Princess Pictures and Fremantle. So this program is designed to fast track building up your experience in the screen industry. You'll really meet some really inspiring people and work across a wide range of projects that will set each of the successful participants up for the next step in their career. So today I'm joined by Nikki and Davey, who were the recipients of the Screen Development. They're our guinea pigs for Screen Development Internship 1.0. Now, before we kick off, just some housekeeping. If you do want to ask a question, you can direct it just a kind of general open question, or you can direct a question specifically to Davey or to Nikki. Just post it in the Facebook discussion. We'll get to as many as we can in the next 30 minutes, but if we don't get to your question, we'll either post a response or we'll reach out to you directly and engage in a conversation. Also, just so that you all know, this session is being recorded and it will be available on the Film Victoria YouTube channel in the coming days. So if you've got friends that missed out coming today, you can direct them to that in a couple of days. So firstly, I want to kick off with a bit of a fun question. Nikki and Davey, is there one moment that happened during the internship that you will remember forever? Nikki, I might throw to you first.
For me, I think there was during COVID, there was a lot of writers' rooms being held online. When it happened, when everyone went home to work at the start of the year, I was with Matchbox, and so they were running writers' rooms online and on Zoom. And I was living at home with 5 other people, my family. And I had to find a place outside, like in the backyard, to do my Zooms. But there was this one moment where I was listening into the conversation. I had my earphones in, and then my grandma sort of just appears behind me. Like slides in. It was like looking at the camera, and I had to tell her that she was on camera and everyone could see her, and it was a little bit embarrassing, but it's very COVID.
Very COVID. Yeah. And Davey, what about you? What was your memorable moment?
I have a lot, actually. It's been a crazy year, but this was pre-COVID, actually. In my Princess Pictures portion of my internship, I was working on How to Stay Married Season 2, and it was the first day that I was on set with Judith Lucy, and I think she's great. I'm such a fan. And I saw her from a distance. I'm like, oh, cool, Judith's here. But she actually she noticed me, and she's like, I haven't met you before. And she came up and introduced herself, and I'm like, oh my gosh, it's Judith Lucy. Hi. That was pretty great. And we had this really lovely chat, and she described me as an enigma, and I will never forget that, because that's pretty high praise coming from Judith Lucy.
Yeah, I think that needs to be on the top of your resume from now on. Fantastic. Now I'm going to ask you to cast your minds all the way back to the start of your journey with the internships. So the internships are open to diverse creatives with a passion for storytelling, whether they happen to be playwrights, performers or producers from across the creative industries. You just need some experience developing, producing or writing some creative content, projects or productions. Now, Davey, you have a theatre and circus background. What originally prompted you to apply for the internship, and why would you recommend that others apply?
I heard about it through a friend who said, hey, this could be really interesting, you should apply. So I looked into it, but then it was seeing that that Film Vic was taking into account other ways of creating to count as experience, really. I never went to film school, and I had really limited experience working in the screen industry. So that was the biggest thing for me, was having that sort of prior recognition for other experience and being able to apply that. That was the real kicker for me, yeah.
Cool. And Nikki, what would you like to tell us about your background and what drew you to Screen, and what was it about the internship? And was the internship what you expected at the beginning?
Yeah, I guess I'm kind of the opposite to Davey in that I always wanted to work in Screen ever since I watched the behind the scenes of Harry Potter. And yeah, so I've been doing a lot of short films since high school. I studied media and communication. Ended up specializing in producing in my master's, and kind of the reason why I sort of applied for this internship is because I knew there were still skills that I was missing in producing and writing. And the internship seemed like a great way to kind of learn more about the development side of, projects, and being able to fill some of those gaps of knowledge that I had of the industry. And yeah, I think the internship really was what I expected and more as well. I ended up learning things that I didn't know, which was kind of great in that way.
Davey, I think you've said something similar in terms of what you thought, when you started, what you thought it was going to be for you, or what you're expecting versus what you found.
Yeah, I because I do come from, more of a theatre background, my understanding of how to craft a story was very different. So coming in and noticing the very different approach to telling stories, that's what I took in. It's just such a big, vast industry, and there's so many jobs and so many roles and so many different capacities you can work at. That was really exciting, actually, because it was realizing how much I could really get out of this as well. And I could really craft my own destiny with this. I just had to find what fit me best.
Cool. So knowing what you know now, so I want to take you back to the very beginning of this whole process, the application, and then I guess the assessment process, the interviews. Knowing what you know now, if you could go back and tell yourself at the beginning of this process, what would you tell yourself about submitting the application and that interview process? Are there any kind of key things that you wish that you know now that you wish someone would give you a heads up at that point? And Nikki, I might go to you again.
It's such a long time ago. I'm trying to think. But I think what really worked for me is kind of looking at the three different host organisations. So Film Victoria, for me it was Matchbox, but now it's Fremantle, and Princess Pictures as well. And was it the ABC? Yeah. And kind of making a list of what skills you would like to learn from those host organisations, and being specific, I guess, in the interview and the application really helped me. And I guess also being honest about, where you are and what skills you still need to learn and where you are in your development.
Davey, how about you?
Yeah, I completely agree with Nikki, actually. I wish I truly understood how much I could also take out of it. I probably would have approached my interview very differently as well. It was a little bit freaky, having, applying to these big, predominantly, Caucasian institutions, because for a long time there's a lot of distance between where I was and where these places are, sort of sit in that social hierarchy. But yeah, really, I wish I knew that the industry is really yearning for a lot more diverse practitioners as well, and there's pressure from everywhere and everyone to get people like us through the door. And so I would have approached my interview a lot more confidently, knowing that the industry needs me just as much as I need it. And yeah, I think also I would have loved to know how lovely and friendly those people on the interview panel are, because really they're just people with jobs, and they're here to help open doors for people like us. And yeah, I would have been less nervous if I knew how lovely that interview panel was.
Well, I'm glad that's what you found. Now, I have got a question here. Will the internship be open to people with disabilities? So that's from Film Victoria's perspective, absolutely. So that's the answer there. So absolutely, please apply. So then thinking about moving, I guess, to the next stage, so from the application assessment process through to the actual placements, thinking about each of you had 3 placements with different production companies. So both of you went to the ABC, both of you spent time at Film Victoria, and then Nikki, as you said, you went to Matchbox, and Davey, you spent time at Princess. Thinking about each of those stints at each of those entities, is there anything, again, that you wish that if you could go back and tell that person, is there anything about each of those placements that you wish you would have known ahead of time? And Davey, I might go to you first.
Okay. I wish I understood how differently all 3 places operate and sort of where they sit in the ecosystem. I spent a lot of my internship really realising that as I sort of moved along, because I'd always, ABC, we all know the ABC, I know Film Victoria's, this, government agencies that sits over here, and Princess sort of, they make Kath and Kim, I know about Princess. But I think really, yeah, if I truly understood how much was on offer at these places, yeah, I probably would have just been really hungry just to sink my teeth in deeper with everyone and just to really find my spot. I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah. Nikki?
Yeah, I agree. On some level, also like a different working culture as well at each organisation. And then I kind of realised that, it's completely starting a new job, even though it's the same internship. And you get to a point where it's like, oh, I have to take more initiative in this, in the production companies, because everyone's busy and they've got things going on. They've got meetings, they're flying and they're like out of the office all the time. Whereas with Film Victoria, everyone's mostly in the office and it seems like you have contact with people all the time. So following things up and making sure kind of like you're keeping track of your own progress was really important for me. I found that I had to keep relearning that lesson every time. Every few weeks I'd check in with Jana and be like, and Jana would be like, what are you doing now? And I'm like, oh, I haven't followed up with that person about, that opportunity that I could have done. And so I think going back and thinking about it now, I think it's really important for me to actually kind of take stock of where I am in the internship, because time flies by pretty quickly, and being able to like realize that, there are some things that you thought needed to be put in action, but it hasn't happened yet, and following up on that as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Davey, did you find that as well in terms of keeping on starting thinking that you were headed down pathway B and then trying to be conscious if you got too far off pathways?
Yeah, actually, like I would start, at Princess, helping out in the production. And then when I moved to ABC, I still had that mentality. And then I realized, oh, wait, no, it's a shift in dynamic. We're making kids content now. So there was a bit more writing and producing with that involved. Being there. It was very much a, big dynamic shift. I love what you were saying, Nikki, because it's so true. It's been a big year, 3 big jobs in a year. But yeah, it was just, keeping up with myself and keeping that initiative and drive just to really milk that opportunity to find the best thing for me. And that was probably the best thing about the internship, is having that opportunity to really play and explore.
Right. That's quite a nice segue into what was the most surprising thing that you learnt during your internship, or did you have a particular aha moment during that time? Nikki, I'll go to you.
I guess. I think at ABC, there was this moment, well, a few moments actually, when the team got together and kind of discussed projects that they might put on their development slate, and they were assessing projects. And, you know, I got reminded several times while I was there that actually your opinion does matter in the whole ABC ecosystem. And I was like, what, me? But I'm the intern. And that was really refreshing to know that, you know, even though ABC is like a big old ship that they're trying to turn very slowly because they have to serve a core audience, that they are looking for diverse opinions. Yeah, I guess that was my aha moment.
Okay. Davey?
Mine's pretty similar, actually. My aha moment was, really realising that diverse opinions are really valued, actually. You know, from coming from very far outside the industry, it's very easy to undervalue yourself and your opinion on where things should go. And another aha moment, actually, I realised is it reminds me of a saying we say in theatre: you learn almost as much watching a show as doing a show. And I learnt that with scripts, actually. You learned almost as much, not as much, but almost as much from reading other people's work as what you do writing your own. So that was actually a really exciting moment for me, because it sort of led me towards finding development, which is where I really realised I gel really well with.
Yeah. And well, that's a nice segue again. How do you feel that your understanding of content development has changed as a result of the internship?
I would say it's really realising the big ecosystem around any project, really. Having to apply for funds, doing a whole bunch of drafts and re-edits of your scripts, and sort of finding the right home for your show and things like that. These are all things that I never really understood or realised before going in. It's been a big explosion of knowledge, really.
And Nikki?
For me, I think kind of when you start out in uni and then after uni you're working on like independent projects and your own projects, you never really get exposed to what this like mysterious development phase of production is. Like, you know exactly, well, production and pre-production is when you get on set and you make it happen, and then editing, post-production is editing and all that. But the development phase is kind of like quite, it changes so much, and I think Catherine Slattery at Film Vic says it's kind of circular, it's not always linear, so it's hard to tell what it is. So kind of for me, it's deepening my knowledge of what development was and understanding the stages that you go through. Like we would start off with a pitch doc and a sample pilot draft, and just getting funding for those stages and understanding that. And I guess also understanding a bit more about the players involved in the industry, the different production companies and what sort of content they do. More about producers and writers in the Australian industry as well. Yeah, it's been a lot of learning.
Okay, I have another question here from our audience. Did you have much freedom to choose which departments or roles you wanted to work in within each of the companies you worked with? So maybe, Davey, if I kick off with you. So if we think about, obviously there was Film Victoria, there was ABC, and then Davey, obviously you went to Princess. So maybe, yeah.
There wasn't a lot of choice where I was placed in the larger ecosystems, but there was the flexibility to really make it my own. And if it wasn't working, then they would find a whole new avenue altogether. I might not be the best person to answer because I am very adaptable. You know, I like to say, chuck me in the deep end and see if I float. But there definitely was that flexibility to really look elsewhere if it was needed. I was fortunate enough, I made it all work. So I'm keen to know though, Nikki, what was your experience?
Oh, for me, it was more like at the start of every part of the internship, there's always a discussion with whoever was supervising you about, okay, so what are you interested in? What would you like to do? And so my focus was always in scripted, and because I'm a writer-producer, I wanted to know more about the development process and story, working with story and things like that. So that's sort of where I came from. And the good thing about the internship is that everyone's quite accommodating. It's kind of the host organizations are throwing their doors open to you and being like, what would you like to learn? And I was able to go, no, well, this. And then sort of, I guess, itinerary, or I don't know what you would call it, curriculum, a list of things that I could be a part of and opportunities that I could observe or be involved in was kind of like offered to me at that point. So I mainly worked in scripted.
Yeah. So, sorry, David.
Oh, I was just going to say, you've got a great memory, Nikki. Like, yes, you're jogging mine. It's been such a hectic year, really, navigating these internships around COVID. It's just been so intense. So actually, thank you for jogging my memory on that.
And I think I should, obviously, for both of you, COVID obviously did change things a lot. So when you started, at the beginning you were physically present. Davey had the opportunity to be physically present at Princess, and Nikki, you were physically present in Film Victoria. But then I'm pretty much by the second iteration, the second stage, both of you went to working from home, and that obviously then also had an impact in terms of what was on offer and what was possible, and the added degree, I guess, of starting at a new organisation remotely. I guess I should jump in and sort of say that obviously this iteration, and the reason why the timing is the way it is that our strong desire is that obviously we see there is greater benefit in being able to be physically present at each of the hosts. So that certainly is our intention, that all being well, that continues. We've only got around, actually only a couple of minutes now, but we're going to keep going a little bit later if that's okay, just because we did start a bit late due to some technical difficulties. If there are any questions that we're not going to get to today, please jump in, because we've got time for a couple more. So jump into the Facebook discussion and put them there. Otherwise, please reach out to me at Film Victoria. My contact details are on the guidelines, so please reach out to me. More than happy to chat either via phone or email. I guess a key thing is what's happened since the end of the internship, and what are you guys up to now? Davey, you've got Muriel's wedding in the background.
Yes. I picked up a position with Screen Australia. So I am the development associate for the Indigenous department. I'm only recently started here, so look, we'll see how long that lasts. But yeah, so I'm part of the little microcosm that we call the Indigenous department here, and I'm spread across a whole bunch of feature films and TV series that we have in development at the moment, and just doing what I can to get them off the ground.
Fantastic. Nikki?
For me, I've been almost taking a little bit of a holiday. It's been nice, actually. But yeah, I have been doing bits and pieces of work, and some are due to start next year. I've been doing a bit of admin work for TAP, because TAP 20 Years Productions was actually working out of the same office as Matchbox, so I got exposure to what they were working on as well while I was there. So I've been doing a bit of admin work for them in development. I'm meant to start with the Two Johns in a project that they're developing as well, and with Fremantle sometime next year, a bit of development work there. But it's all like little bits and pieces, which is kind of nice. Yeah.
Fabulous. So I'm just going to throw to a question here. Now, this is I'm going to talk because it's a Film Victoria question. What are Film Victoria and the other partners looking for in applicants? So I guess we're looking for obviously a commitment and a strong desire for a career in the screen sector, in film and television, and with a strong desire in that kind of development, which is sort of the writers and producer, that sort of creative development executive type of career trajectory. So someone who's got a pre-existing interest in the story, and which is demonstrated through experience to date, which doesn't have to be professional, as we've said in the guidelines. That can be in a range of different formats, other areas of creative industries, published, community work, community theatre, a whole range of different avenues. We are certainly looking forward to come back to Nikki's point, that some clarity about you're at point A in your career and you have a desire to be at point B, and what is it that you see that you are specifically going to get out of this internship. So an ability to articulate your vision for yourself and what you're wanting to get out of this internship, notwithstanding that, as Davey so adequately articulated, it will change, and we expect it to change, because as you dive deep, you will probably start seeing things that you may not already be aware of. And I think a degree of that self-starting, as both Nikki and Davey have indicated, because that ability to kind of keep focused on your own end game and to continue to agitate and ask for that. And there is, whoever is successful will be supported in that conversation with each of the hosts. But it is, it's great to be able to engage in that conversation and be aware that it is likely to change, and that is okay. So if you come in thinking, I'm going to be something, I'm going to be a comet, and then actually, after stage one of placement at Film Victoria, actually I've decided I want to be a planet, that's okay. We're happy to help with that.
And I want to just add as well, like, you have regular check-ins with Jana, and she helps you keep on track of stuff, and you end up unloading a lot of your anxiety onto her as well. She's like a great therapist.
Yeah, actually, Jana she was my rock throughout the internship. Every time I got a little bit anxious about what I was doing, Jana was right there, ready to take my call and talk me through it. Yeah.
Well, we are. I mean, the successful intern is an employee of Film Victoria, and you also have access to all the Film Victoria support mechanisms, and obviously me, but also other employee assistance programs and a range of different things that are available. And also part of the internship program is also support to engage a mentor, who is outside the industry. So again, to provide additional support, being aware that people are going into big corporate monoliths, and as Nikki indicated, each of them has their own culture and workplace entity to navigate. Now, I am starting to get a bit of a wind up. So Davey and Nikki, I'm going to throw to you each and ask you if there's one key thing that you really think potential applicants need to know. This is your opportunity. I'm going to put you on the spot. Davey.
Don't be shame, be game. Just be yourself, like put it all on the page and get excited, and because if that shows on the page, then the person reading it gets excited and it'll help you stand out. So be yourself and just really go for it. And by the time you get to those interview stages, you're in that room with all of these industry leaders. Even if you're not successful, you've been introduced to these people who are pushing our industry forward, and before you know it, you might get a call from them later down the track. So yeah, give it your everything, because what have you got to lose?
For me, I don't have a rhyming. Like, I can't coin one on the spot. But definitely everything that Davey said, and just don't be afraid of asking what you want. I think I spent quite a while kind of not sure whether I should, kick up a fuss and be like, hey, I would like to do this with my internship, but everyone's there to support your career and your career goals in the internship. So don't be afraid to say that's the trajectory that you want to go on.
Thanks, guys. So thank you so much, Nikki and Davey, for giving your time up to help help with the internships, help with this today. I hope, and thank you everyone out there in Facebook land for joining us today. Really hope you found today's session really helpful. As I said, we will come back to those questions that we didn't get answered. We will definitely respond, and also, as I said, more than happy to respond directly if you'd like to. I really encourage you all to submit an application or tell a friend about it. The deadline, just to remind everyone, is the 14th of January. And also just a reminder that a recording of this session will be available on the Film Victoria YouTube channel very soon. So if you need more information about the internships or want to get in touch, just go to our website, film.vic.gov.au. And to keep up to date with all our program announcements and deadlines for other kinds of opportunities that might be coming down the pipeline, please follow us on socials or subscribe to our e-news, which is also, there's links to that subscription on our website. So good luck with all of your applications. I really am looking forward to seeing who comes through the door this year. Really excited. So good luck. Have a fantastic day. And yeah, thank you again, Nikki and Davey. Thanks, guys. See ya.